Patricia says Def Leppard, newly inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Katie says Pink and Bruno. Pink is one of the ones on my list. I would love to see Bruno Mars, too. He's not somebody I'm going to, he's on a bucket list, but I would love to see Bruno Mars. Now, I remember I had gone to a radio show when Train was there. It was a station I had worked at before, so I still knew people that worked there, and I reached out and said, can I get tickets to this show and maybe a meet and greet for Train, because I'm a huge, huge Train fan. And he hooked me up, and Bruno Mars was supposed to play at that show. And he ended up backing out the last minute. And I remember being bummed. But it was not in the heyday that he is in now. I mean, he's exploded since then. And he does put on a great show. One of my favorite Super Bowl halftime shows is his. I think he may have even done 2. I'm not sure. But Pink is definitely one that I would love to see. And of course, my other one, Taylor Swift. I don't know if I would ever purchase tickets for Taylor Swift. It seems to be the huge stadium tours, and I just don't know if I want to go through the hassle of it. Pink, I don't think, would be as, hassling. But I would also like to see, as much as I don't want to admit it, because I think he's a little obnoxious. I think he's really cool, but I think he's kind of obnoxious at heart. Not that I blame him. I probably would be too if I were him, but Justin Timberlake. I think Justin probably puts on a fantastic show. I have seen Justin Timberlake with NSYNC. One of the concerts I dragged my cousin Jim to, who was just commenting on the post, was NSYNC. And he had told me that he absolutely had no interest in seeing NSYNC, but he was afraid that if he said no, that I would find somebody else to start asking to accompany me to the concerts that I took him to all the time. I had gotten free tickets to NSYNC from the radio station that I worked at, and I was not a huge NSYNC fan. I mean, I was in my 30s at the time, so I definitely wasn't into the boy band thing, but they were just such a phenomenon. I just wanted to go see what it was all about, and since it was free, I had nothing to lose. Jim says to this day, as I do, one of the best concerts I ever saw. So entertaining, the dancing, the singing, and they had a little bit for everybody. Like, they know that a lot of parents are going to be there accompanying their children. They did some Beatles covers. They really just had a little bit for everybody, and it was just such an entertaining show, and it's still one of my favorite concerts. So now I'm going to go on to the blog post, and the quote is "Finding Yourself." The quote is from Emily McDowell. And she says, finding yourself is not really how it works. You aren't a $10 bill in last winter's coat pocket. You are also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you drew as a kid that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually returning to yourself and unlearning, an excavation, a remembering of who you were before the world got its hands on you. So that's pretty deep, huh? And so true. I just love that. So we have a lot of ideas about ourselves that don't necessarily come from us. Are you an accountant because that's what your parents wanted you to do for a living? Are you trying to find a spouse to settle down and have a family with because that's what you were brought up believing you should do? Or is that what you truly want? I was single for a long time. I didn't get married until I was 40. All right, 41. Get off my back, people. And then children just never happened for us. I was well aware this was more than likely to be the case since I was older. I would have loved to have children. I never wanted to do it alone. And my husband and I, we didn't super try, but we didn't not try either. Just didn't happen. My sister had decided at one point, I think I've talked about this before, she had decided at one point that she was going to have a child even if she didn't marry. She felt the calling to be a mom that strongly. And I applaud her for making that decision. Now, she did end up getting married. She has 2 amazing daughters and gained 2 awesome stepdaughters as well. But that just wasn't the route that I wanted to go. So I didn't pursue the kid thing. Now it's too late. It's okay. It's okay. We're happy with our life the way it is. We have no idea who the hell is going to take care of us in our old age. That is one problem. But we are fine with the way our life is panning out. But what I wanted to get across is the whole time I was single, which again, a very long time, I felt like a complete loser. I felt like the spinster that followed her mother around to all the family events, where I was the most sensitive to my singleness because that's when all the family members come out of the woodwork. Oh, Wendy, you're so pretty and you're such a nice person. Why don't you have a boyfriend? Excuse me. Gee, Aunt Helen, I don't know. There must be something wrong with me. I just don't know what people expect in a response to a question like that. No, I don't know. So any woman who was still single over the age of 30 knows exactly what I'm talking about. But you have to decide, is this something that you're really lacking in your life? Is it something that you really want? Or is it something that people are telling you that you want or should have? Don't think about what your mom wants or your aunt wants or your coworkers wants. I wish I could have shaken that whole caring what people thought thing back then. I probably would have been much happier sooner. Although that is what I truly wanted. I mean, I definitely wanted to get married and settle down at some point. I wanted to be in a relationship. I never wanted to be single my whole life. But, you know, this is something we'll get into at another time. I held on so tight to that dream. I kind of kept forcing it away from me because I just couldn't let go, so to speak. Like I said, we'll get into that at another time. But you have to kind of, you know, surrender your dream and let somebody else take care of it. And when I finally managed to do that, which took me until 40, the man of my dreams walked into my life. So I did truly want to be in a relationship. I did want to get married. I wanted to potentially have a family. Nobody was putting those ideas in my head, but society and family made me feel like, since I didn't do it soon enough, that I was some kind of loser. I remember hanging out with a friend of mine who had gotten married and divorced pretty quickly, and I had said, well, at least you've done it. You can get your family off your back, you know, but I tried it. I'm done. You know, it didn't work out, you know, and she's like, no, it's even worse when you get divorced, because then you're even more of a loser because you tried and you couldn't make it work. So everybody has their cross to bear, right? So I mentioned yesterday to think back to when you were a child and what you really enjoyed then. This is when we are most ourselves. It's before the seeds of judgment get planted in us. It's when we do what we think is just super fun. We don't care what people think. We're not in that realm of thinking yet. Are there certain books that you were attracted to? Do you know what it was that you liked so much about them? Do you love to build things? Were you a block builder? Did you make Lego houses? Maybe you want to build things or create things. Give it some thought. What lit you up as a kid? Does it still light you up today? But the most important thing that will lead you to your passion, which is what we're talking about this week, is mindfulness. It's not only great for finding your passion, but for enjoying your life overall. I have been hearing about mindful eating my whole life because I have read just about every diet book there is out there, and they all say, be mindful of the food you put in your mouth. It is so true, but so hard to do for some reason. Now think about when you go to a restaurant that you enjoy. You order your favorite dish. Are you really, enjoying the meal? I know the first couple bites you are. You're like, oh my God, this is heaven. Love this lobster. It's so good. But do you pay attention to the rest of the bites? Do you savor every one? Focus on that meal from start to finish, the delicious food you are indulging in. Like I said, we love the first couple of bites, but then we just kind of take the rest for granted. We need to savor each and every morsel. We need to make it about the entire meal. Don't just enjoy the first part. Enjoy the whole meal. It's the same with everything in your life. How often do you really taste your coffee in the morning? Don't you just kind of swig it down because, kind of your habit? Just take the time this morning to really taste your coffee, especially when it's at that perfect temperature. What is the part of the day you look forward to most? Is there an aspect of your job that you enjoy more than your other duties? Is there a way that you can find a position that will allow you to do more of that and less of the parts you don't like? Be mindful of the activities you enjoy during the day. We tend to focus on what we don't like, but pay attention to what you do like or even what you don't mind. This will lead to you figuring out what you love to do. Is lunch your favorite part of the day? Were you being a smart ass and said, oh, what's your favorite part of the day? Lunch. Yes. I'm going back to my high school days where people would say that. Maybe it is lunch. Even if it is lunch and you're being a smart ass, that's okay. I've got an answer for you. Maybe you want to go out to eat more often. Experiment with different restaurants. Experiment with different meals. Do you enjoy cooking when you get home? Is there a way you can do more cooking? Baking, maybe? Bake up a storm. Pass out your treats to family, friends, coworkers, and neighbors, and you will have a lot of new BFFs, I assure you. There is always a way to do more of what you love once you figure out what it is. So be mindful of what lights you up. Just pay attention to what you enjoy throughout the day instead of what you don't enjoy. Stop taking your life for granted and living in a way that has you just getting through the day. Are we just trying to get safely to our deaths? It sounds so silly when you put it that way. Life is intended to be enjoyed, every single day of it. I know everyone has bad days, but once you find your passion and do more of it, you will enjoy more and more days of your life. Stop waiting for the weekend. There are only 2 days in a weekend. I want you to enjoy all 7 days of the weeks in your life. I'm going to help you do it. Day by day, little by little, your daily dose of inspiration and positivity. It is a Wish It Were Cocktail Friday, Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful one. I will talk to you tomorrow. I am looking forward to Friday. I am going away for the weekend for a girls' weekend in Seattle City. I'm going from one beach town to the next. So I'll talk a little bit more about that tomorrow. And I hope you enjoy your day. Like I said, take a little time to enjoy the coffee. And please, whatever you do, make it your best day yet.
Thank you for listening to The Hopefulist, hosted by Wendy McClure. For more inspiration, please visit hopefulist.com. Thanks, and we'll see you tomorrow on The Hopefulist.